Hey guys, it's Off the Court. I'm Fayna, one of the founders of Off the Court, and I'm here with Carly Khan. Carly, you want to say hi?
Hi, everyone.
Carly played at Mizzou as well as Beach at Hawaii, and now she's pursuing an AVP career as well as other small business things that I love about her. And Carly, if you want to give a quick intro.
Yeah, so I grew up in Honolulu, pretty much played volleyball my whole life. Eventually went on to play at Mizzou. Kind of random for a Hawaii girl to end up in the middle of the country, but I did, and I really loved it. I also played my fifth year at University of Hawaii, and then I decided that I still wanted to pursue indoor a little bit. So I played 1 year of overseas, like professional in Germany. And then I switched my mind again. And then I decided that I wanted to become a full-time beach player. So that's what I've been doing for the past couple of years. And then on top of that, since beach volleyball isn't super profitable right now, I am also working as like a medical sales with my uncle.
Nice. That was
Yeah.
a short and sweet intro.
Yeah.
Where'd you go to high school in Hawaii? Did you grew up there, right?
Yeah, I went to Punahou school.
Nice. Was it super competitive there? I know that's a big sports school in Hawaii.
Yeah, it was. Volleyball in general is super big in Hawaii already. And then Punahou was kind of a really good pool of volleyball players. So it was competitive, which made it really fun. But our club team was also a lot of Punahou. So we just kind of like played club together, played school together, and we had a good group.
Nice. So did you play outside there or did you start as libero at high school?
I was outside the whole time. Yeah.
Okay.
I was
That,
recruited as
yeah.
into college as a libero, but I ended up also playing outside there as well.
Yeah, I remember that story. I don't know why I was watching Mizzou, but when I was watching you play and being a freaking stud outside hitter, I remember the commentators were saying, "This girl got recruited as a libero, and look at her, she's flying Hawaiian." I was like, "She's so awesome!"
Thank you.
Freaking showing up people, and you got All American, right? One of or a couple of
Yeah,
years.
like honorable mention, but it's not
Still counts.
not
It
true.
still counts.
Yeah.
That's a really great story going from, libero, just, at a school that is one of the top in the country, and you just proved yourself to be an outside hitter.
Yeah. It was really fun. I mean, just from day one, I was just wondering when I was gonna like be a libero, but in open gym during the summer, there's no coaches and they were just like, just keep hitting. And I was like, okay. I was like surprised that I could hit because I'm short. But it was normal to me because I've been doing it my whole life. And then
Yeah.
practice came along and I was still hitting and I was just like confused. I was like, am I gonna like change? Am I just gonna keep doing this? But then it just never did. I think being able to pass was a huge bonus for me. And I think that's what eventually led me to be able to play all around.
Nice. So how was your college experience just balancing athletics and academics for you? I know that everyone has a different story. I would like to hear some about yours.
Yeah. I was a business major and I majored in finance. But let's see. I thought that going to Punahou was a pretty rigorous school already. So that kind of really prepared me for college. So actually when I got to college, I almost thought it was a little bit easier because we didn't have as many like courses. Like Punahou, you're in school like 7:30 to 3:30, but in college I only had like 2 classes a day and then to practice. So actually the transition was pretty easy for me. Academically, everything was fine. I always found enough time. I think because of doing it in high school, it just made it easier to do it in college. And then it's kind of like all that you do. So that was kind of the dream. I don't really do much outside at the time. I didn't do much outside of school and athletics. So that was kind of good news for me.
Yeah, gotcha. So what made you want to transition into beach at Hawaii afterwards?
So I guess during my recruiting process, I committed pretty early. I committed my sophomore year for indoor, but right around my senior year is when they finally made beach volleyball like a collegiate sport. And
Mm-hmm.
had I known earlier, maybe I would have tried to find a school that would let me play both. Of course, I don't like have any regrets about it. But that was kind of when I started thinking maybe I'd want to play like a fifth year. I saw a lot of other indoor kids, especially people from Hawaii, doing their fifth year and back at home in Hawaii, and playing beach volleyball. And I grew up playing a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
not like super competitively. Only like my senior year of high school, I did a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just always been something like super fun. And I think because I like to pass that hit, like because I like to do everything, it was just kind of like a natural, um, I don't know, like passion of mine.
Mm-hmm.
So after indoor, I was like, oh, I definitely want to play. I want to try and play somewhere.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I'm sure that passion for being able to be more, I guess, dynamic in beach volleyball made you want to go pro in AVP, right?
Yeah, I after I saw kind of the competition and what
Mm-hmm.
everything looked like, I just thought it was like so fun. And the fact that you could still do it in the US was a big bonus because playing indoor
Yeah,
overseas is it's really tough.
yeah,
So the AVP was definitely looking really good to me.
yeah. So overseas, um, was it hard, like being away from family, and I guess like what was your experience overseas?
Yeah, I think it's just like totally different. And I think everybody's experience overseas is different depending on like your coach, depending on your teammates,
Mm-hmm.
the league. Um, Mine, I think a lot of people have a similar experience where the coach is maybe not like what you expect because
Mm-hmm.
American and European, it's just a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
So I was playing on like a lower level team in a good league. And it was hard. I mean, 8 months is a long time. I went to Mizzou from Hawaii, and I mean, they're equally as far almost. Europe's a little
Mm-hmm.
bit further, but it was long. The season is totally different. I mean, especially I mean, it's your job. So I
Mm-hmm.
kind of did like that part of it where you're getting paid to play volleyball and that was it. I actually
Mm-hmm.
really like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, Germany is a little bit cloudy. It's almost like Seattle where it's a little bit cloudy all the time. I wasn't used to not seeing the sun as much.
Yeah.
It was just different for 8 months. It was a long time. So I decided, I don't think like for myself, I just couldn't do it again.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, I'm glad that you had an option closer to home playing AVP, and
Yeah.
obviously that's not an easier option too.
Yeah, no,
Um, so, can you talk about your experience, I guess, in the AVP specifically, like pursuing your passion, but also it being super hard to, battle your way through? Can you talk a little bit about that?
yeah. So I guess right after I came back from Germany, it was the summer, and I was talking to he was our volunteer assistant at the time, Danny, and we were at Outrigger, and that's like just a major volleyball hub in Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
And he was just like, like I think you could do it. I think you could play beach. And I was like, really? Like, you think so? But I kind of just committed to it. And that like maybe like 2 weeks later or 3 weeks later, I just was like, I'm gonna try and play in this AVP Seattle qualifier, see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
So I got someone to play with me. We didn't qualify, of course, but after watching the Seattle AVP, I knew that that was kind of just like what I wanted
Mm-hmm.
to try and do. This was 2019 at the time. So I came in kind of like halfway through the season and just tried. Like I was gonna play. I wasn't that great again because I had switched back to indoor and now I'm trying to go back to beach again. Definitely rusty, but I just figured, like why not? Like I can make it. I figured I could do it. Um, by the end of that year, I qualified into like the last one was in Chicago, or the second to the last one. Um, and once I qualified, that was kind of like the moment where I was like, okay, like I'm in this for real. Like I
Mm-hmm.
knew that I was good enough to qualify. Um, and so after that season ended, I really thought 2020 was going to be the year, but of course, as we all know, like COVID
Mm-hmm.
hit. So it's definitely been hard. Because of that year, they only let the top players who are already in have like the three main events. Unfortunately, I couldn't play in that. And then again in 2021, three events again. I got into one of them, but I guess just managing like those expectations where I thought I would be, and now as you get older, like I'm 27 now. I just thought I would have been in, I guess, at 25, and here I am at 27, still not like consistently in. I just
Mm-hmm.
missed another qualifier. So beach volleyball is just so competitive, and it keeps getting more and more competitive as years goes on because of the college system, the NCAA. I mean, they're great. Like they're anyone can win on any given day. It doesn't even matter who the team is. That's what's crazy about beach volleyball.
Mm-hmm.
There's no sport like it. I don't think it's just crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, for sure. So I know it's tough with the whole, I know you told me about like finding a partner can be rough, and the fact that AVP doesn't probably pay as much as you want to, and all of this, anxiety that comes with, you're getting older and you aren't meeting the expectations you had. How do you manage those feelings and anxieties that you may feel during those?
Yeah. So I guess I had never really had any like major anxiety growing up. I guess not even in college. I would say like right about this year, I guess 2022 was just when like a couple things started to get like a little more stressful. I started to feel like a lot more pressure. I think it
Mm-hmm.
is sort of getting older, maybe COVID kind of you're to yourself a little bit more. So just thinking in your head a lot more. I think all of these like combinations of things just sort of came to a tipping point for me in this year.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like the managing expectations of where you are now, I mean, that I think that's really hard for me because I thought I'd be a lot further than where I am. So I guess yeah, this year and even just like 2 months ago, like I went through like a little I call it a mini panic attack because I'm not exactly sure what like a major one would look like. And I have really nothing to compare it to, but me and my partner were in Mexico, and it was like everything just like came like kind of crashing down for me in my head. I felt the pressure of yeah, not being where I wanted to be, maybe letting my partner, my coach down, feeling like I'm technically like the only person from Hawaii playing beach volleyball professionally as a female. Feeling that
Mm-hmm.
pressure of trying to represent Hawaii well. It was just kind of a lot of things that ultimately just like manifested into a little panic attack. And that was just like right before kind of day two of just pool play. Um, so I kind of went through that little thing. And I think the one thing that really helped me was just like writing it down. I think that's something that's always helped me. When I get into like a little cycle, I just wrote down everything that was stressing me out. Like any little thing that could possibly pop into my head, I just started writing it down. But during that time, it's so hard. Like your heart is beating super fast. You can like feel your breathing. Everything is tense. You just feel like super uncomfortable the whole time. So I think as I started writing it, I tried to just keep breathing in and out, like deep breaths. But ultimately, I think what helped me was just getting it all out on paper, I guess it was my phone, but just getting it on a page or something like that. Because thinking it in my head it just wasn't enough. So writing it all down was kind of the solution that ended up helping me.
Mm-hmm. And that's totally fine. Like other people have different ways of calming down from that. And I think that was a really good way, especially for you to, be able to list out everything you're stressed about. And I have it pulled up right now, and
Yeah.
I really love at the end. Um, it says it lists out things that you're grateful for or have, like everything that I guess supports you in your journey. So, for example, number one, you have family, friends, Tanner, who really cares about you no matter what you do. Two, this is what you love, and you do it because you love to compete. Three, you are a kick-ass volleyball player. Four, which is true. Four, you show people you can be small and ball out, which is awesome. Five, you're a gamer. Six, you're kind. Seven, you're a good partner. And eight, you are compassionate. I'm not sure that anything else matters right now. You're doing your best, and that's all I can ask of myself. Oh, I'm gonna cry just reading that. For people who don't know what I'm talking about, it's on carlycon.com, which is awesome. The fact that you have a website on your name, but anyway, and it's called A Note I Wrote to Myself During a Mini Anxiety Attack. So if you guys haven't read it yet, I highly recommend reading it. It's super transparent and emotional, and I mean, it's freaking awesome. And I think the best part is the very next day, or I don't know if it was the next day or 2 days after, but what happened, Carly?
Me and my partner ended up winning gold for that. It was a NORCECA tournament. Yeah.
Let's go. That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Did it feel after winning that, did you feel like, what were your feelings, especially knowing that you went through something like this beforehand?
Yeah, I mean, so that's a funny story because that game was not a good game for me. I because of my mini anxiety attack, after we had to play another USA team in the semifinals, and that was where I felt really like competitive and really nervous, but I think it was a good nervous. But it was a tough match for sure. And after that, I felt so calm. Like I just felt, and I was just happy to feel that calm because after you go through that anxiety attack, you just like want to do everything like possible to like just not get there again.
Yeah.
And so I was just happy to be feeling okay. And I actually, it was like such a calmness that I was like in a lull almost, that I was not playing great. My partner ended up stepping up so much for me. So I think that was just a huge game for us as like a partnership because I knew that I could rely on her for anything. And I had told her about what I was experiencing like the day before. And having her play so hard for me and her still believe in me after all that, I think that was just like the biggest part of it all.
Yeah.
It felt sweet. It was definitely awesome.
Yeah, I've met Caitlin, and she seems very genuine and compassionate, and I mean, you're super lucky to have, an understanding partner like that, because I know there are some that are like, not as nice. And, because it's good to have a partner that understands that you can't have your best game every time, and be on your tip top mental game every time. So super important to have someone like that who understands and either, picks you up, or, they play a certain level just to make sure that you're balanced out. So I think it's awesome having her there.
Oh yeah.
Was she saying nice things to you, like encouraging you?
Yeah, no, she was saying, she's like, come on, like you're clutch, like you're a gamer, we got this. Like it's just like sometimes you're just so lucky to have someone like that by your side. So I mean, partnerships are like almost like relationships. I always say that they're just like relationships, like romantic relationships. I mean, you go through your ups and downs, you have tough conversations. But at the end of the day, like there's just some people are great partners, and there's some people that you might not like get along with. But I mean, that's beach volleyball. It's just another huge part of the game.
Yeah. So what are your plans, I guess, after volleyball? Like, do you ever see yourself in the volleyball field, or you want to venture out? Because I know you've done a lot of other entrepreneurial things that I'm freaking stoked for. But do you think you'll ever keep volleyball still, in your career path?
That's a good question. When I was in college, I always thought I would coach college somehow. But as I've gotten older, I'm not as sure if I want to do that. What I do miss is being part of a team. I think I
Mhm.
really thrived in that environment.
Mhm.
Just it felt good too. So I'm not exactly sure where it will lead me. Some days I'm like, I don't think I can coach. Some days I'm like, it could be fun.
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
but I think a lot either way, I want to stay in Hawaii for the most part.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
so I think I'm also thinking maybe as I keep playing and as I keep um kind of like growing here, something will just appear, and I'm hoping for
Mhm.
that. So, but I think also the good thing about playing beach volleyball sometimes is that you when you're at my level and when you're not in like the top players, you have to work another job because there's just no way that you
Mhm.
could financially sustain yourself. So
Mhm.
I've kind of been okay with like balancing like work, balancing volleyball, and it kind of like prepares you for the next stage because I think that is another huge part of being an athlete is when you stop playing your sport like competitively.
Mhm.
I know that's kind of hard because it feels like your identity.
Mhm.
So I feel lucky to kind of have started working and like started having our own like career where I'm still playing and I still get to compete a lot. Um,
Mhm.
but knowing that I'll be okay like after volleyball too. I think
Yeah,
that's gonna be important. It'll be hard.
that's awesome.
It'll be hard, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. Because I mean, you pretty much answered my next question. Like the reason I asked that was because for a lot of athletes, like you said, their identity is playing sports. You know, being an athlete because that's what you've known since like 10 years old. So,
Mm,
people usually want to either stay in athletics or stay in the field just because you know they part of who they are is being an athlete. So,
yeah.
um, last couple of questions. Um, what who are you outside of being an athlete? Like, what do you like to do outside of playing your sport?
Um, During COVID, I picked up sewing, and it's really
Mm.
funny because I'm not creative at all, really. My mom is absolutely surprised that I picked it up. But it's been really fun. I love sewing, I guess. I sew my own swimsuits right now, which I like to play in because I think that's really fun. And
Mhm.
I think I like the ones that I sew better than some of the ones that you can buy. So that's
Mhm.
something that I do for me. And then Caitlin is like one of my best customers, actually. So,
Yeah,
uh,
you all look cute in your matching suits.
yeah. And also it's like just things I picked up during COVID, actually. I picked up surfing. I'm not very
Mhm.
good,
Mhm.
but it's really fun to do. So that's something we do
Mhm.
on the weekends. Not so much during volleyball season because I don't want to like get unnecessarily injured.
Mhm.
um, but it's something that I also picked up that I enjoy. And then I'm a big couch potato, so just like Netflix, TV series,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
could be on the couch all day too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How important is it to you to spend time doing these hobbies outside of your sport?
Um, I think, I mean, yeah, I definitely think it's important. I mean, otherwise, I feel like volleyball just becomes like too much. And
Mhm.
during beach volleyball season during the summer, it often does become a lot because it's busy, especially this summer since we finally have like a full schedule. Um,
Mhm.
I'll find myself like craving, like wanting to sew, like I'll want to be like creating something. Like when I got back home, we
Mhm.
were away for the whole month of May pretty much. And when I got back home, I was like, I need
Mhm.
to make something. So I don't know if it's almost just like an innate like thing now where I'm like, I need to do this.
Mhm. Exactly. Yeah, I think it's super important because, you know, one day you won't be able to play volleyball anymore, whether it's an injury or you're getting old, you know, like we typically don't see like 60 year
No.
olds playing competitive volleyball anymore. So I always think it's super important to, know what you love doing outside of playing competitive athletics because one day, we won't be able to anymore. And I think finding love and passion for other things will help like ease that pain of not being able
Yeah,
to play your sport anymore. So I think it's
yeah,
really cool that you've found, a little passion of yours to do, and you don't really, need good knees or,
Yeah,
or like an
exactly.
able body to sew.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's why like grannies love sewing, it doesn't require
Yeah.
much.
You can just hit, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the lucky too about like playing beach volleyball is like even if I stopped playing competitively, like you could play this sport forever. I mean, I'll see some ladies at Outburger that are like killing it and they're a little bit older, but they're still making it work. So I mean,
Nice.
that's kind of the nice thing about beach volleyball is that it's a
Mhm.
sport you can play as you get older too. But just
Yeah,
just
true.
not the EVP.
Yeah, true. Um, and last question, what advice would you have to give to athletes listening to this to better help their mental health? And also, if you have any other advice on like their health in general, how to be a better athlete.
Sorry.
You're good.
Um, let's see. Well, after you brought up what I wrote about like the note to myself, I think one of the biggest things is to just like remember what you're like grateful for and always like practice like gratitude. I think I actually get negative a lot. I'm a big complainer, unfortunately.
Mhm.
Uh, but whenever I get in like a tough spot or when I'm stressed and pressure, I think, yeah, I mean, that's what you have to always go back to. Like, what are you grateful for? And maybe it's in your sport, maybe it's outside of your sport, but making sure that you remember those things. It was
Mhm.
when you said it, it was actually a good reminder for me because um, I need to go back to that letter and read it again so that
Mhm.
I mean, just like remember where I was or where I am now. I think that's definitely one thing, practice gratitude. And then, I mean, yeah, I feel like you're hitting all the things. I mean, have things that you like outside the sport. And then I'm just a big proponent. I mean, like one of my favorite like compliments is that like I'm like smiling when I play. And I think just like having fun, like don't lose like the passion or like
Mhm.
just how fun like the sport is, even if it's not always going your way. I mean, I think part of the journey is just the grind,
True.
the tough parts. And I knew going into the season there was going to be highs, there's going to be lows, and finding just ways to like manage those lows. But also just like remembering like it's just a sport. It's really fun
Mhm.
and I love to do it. No matter what the outcome is. I think that that is what I have to keep telling myself now because
Mhm.
there's a
Yeah.
there's a tough summer ahead. But yeah, don't forget. I mean, that's so cliche, but like the fun, like this laughing, smiling, everything. If you have a team, I mean, I think those were just like the best parts of the sport, like knowing that you had people surrounded you that supported you and who were working toward the same thing. Yeah, I
Mhm.
guess gratitude and fun.
Yeah, those are super important. I remember watching you when you were still at Mizzou and you're just smiling all the time. Even if
Yeah.
you tipped it into the net or something, you're just like, my bad guys.
Yeah.
It just
And
looked like you were genuinely having fun, and I could tell that, you love the sport of volleyball. And obviously, you're proving that by, going to Hawaii your 5th year and now pursuing beach volleyball. Like, obviously, that passion has carried. And so, I mean, it's inspired me, and I'm sure it's inspired a lot of other people. So just know that you're doing great, Carly.
thanks, Data.
All right. Do you have any closing advice for people or anything you want to say?
Um, no, I think that's good. I guess, yeah, I guess everyone goes through the hard time. Just know that there are people surrounding you that you can talk to, and
Mhm.
there's always someone that will listen. Just don't be afraid to keep it all in. I think that's just the important part. And if you don't want to say it to someone, write it down in a journal or something or on your phone
Mhm.
notes. Anything helps.
Mhm. Yeah, just a reminder to read Carly's blog at carlycon.com. It's a lot of good stuff in there, and you might cry. In a good way. In a good way.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Well, thank you so much for your time, Carly. I really appreciate you coming on. Nice shirt, by the way.
Yeah, off the
There you
court.
go. All right. And shout out to ESPN Honolulu for sponsoring this podcast, or technically partner with this podcast. And we'll see you guys on the next episode.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thanks for having me.
Mm-hmm.